Welcome to BDJ Daily Torah, a service of B'nai David Judaic Congregation in Los Angeles. Here is Assistant Rabbi David Stein.
The mitzvah I want to talk about tonight is the mitzvah of helping load or unload someone's animal who you see that that has kind of fallen on the road, and the mitzvah is both to unload the burden of an animal who has fallen or is struggling on the road, but also to then, if something has fallen off of the wagon, fallen off of the animal, to reload. Okay, so what does this really have to do with anything? Well, turns out that the Aruch HaShulchan applies this in a really interesting way. He says the following. He says, "B'medinatenu, in our lands, shenos'imu molechim masa be'agala ve'hasus kashur be'agala." He says, in our lands, how do people get around? Well, they have a wagon and there's a horse that's tied to the wagon. Im paga be'agala shenishka'a be'refesh v'tit. So if the wagon gets stuck in the mud, mechuyav l'sayeh lahagala lifrok hamasa. So you have to help the person who owns this wagon, the wagon owner, to both unload the merchandise from the wagon, and to help tow the wagon to a dry place. This is the mitzvah of kind of unloading of an animal that's discussed in Parsha. And then afterwards, you have to, once they're out of the mud, they have to then help him reload the wagon. And also if the merchandise falls off the wagon, great. But he goes on, he says, same thing if a wheel breaks off of the wagon. So you have to help in all instances to the extent that you can, and to accompany them a little bit. This is also part of the mitzvah of loading and unloading. And what's fascinating is the way the Aruch HaShulchan expands. It's not at first glance you might expect that this law is really about the well-being of the animal. The animal is struggling under the load of the merchandise and so on and so forth. But the Aruch HaShulchan actually really expands it and says it's really not about that. It's actually really about kind of the care, and this is related somewhat to what we were talking about previously in terms of the mitzvah of Hashavat Aveidah. So it's really related not to the animal itself, but actually overall to the well-being of the owner, right? Even if the animal's not in danger and just the wheel is broken down. So you still have an obligation under this mitzvah to help repair the wagon. And this is true as well. That many of the Achronim and kind of contemporary poskim point to this mitzvah as related also to, well, what happens if you're driving and you see somebody with a flat tire? Now, at face value, you would say, well, there's no animal involved, that you are unloading and unloading all of their that's what I'm looking for, not merchandise, but all of their cargo. Yeah, all of their cargo. Thank you. But nevertheless, so the contemporary Achronim really kind of say this is the mitzvah, and it applies here as well. Again, not just to an instance of unloading the cargo from an animal's back, but if you come across somebody with a flat tire, so you have a mitzvah, an obligation to actually help him in that sense. And here there's actually a distinction between prika, unloading, meaning helping someone get out of a ditch or a flat tire, and kind of repairing for them their issue. Unloading in general, the Shulchan Aruch says you have to really do for free. So if you see somebody and they need a tow, or you see somebody and they're really in a difficult, you see the cars in the ditch. So pulling over and stopping them, even if you're not going to get paid for it, is really the mitzvah. But what if they need repairs that maybe you can do, maybe you can't do, maybe it's going to cost you some time to do. So in that case, kind of the actual getting them, really repaired and back on the way would be a different kind of category that then you'd be at least um, you would deserve at least some potential compensation for. But here, really, these laws of prika and enough, unloading and reloading from an animal, cargo from an animal, actually really get applied here to lots of helping bystanders, helping strangers who maybe have a flat tire on the street.
You've been listening to BDJ Daily Torah, a service of B'nai David Judea Congregation in Los Angeles. To learn more about our synagogue, visit bnaidavid.com.